To the right Honourable Francis Earl of Huntington, Mark Akenside, I the wise and great of every clime, through all the spacious walks of time, where'er the Muse her power displayed, with joy have listened and obeyed. For taught of heaven, the sacred nine persuasive numbers, forms divine, to mortal sense impart, they best the soul with glory fire. They noblest counsels, boldest deeds inspire, and high o'er fortune's rage enthrone the fixed heart. Nor less prevailing is their charm the vengeful bosom to disarm, to melt the proud with human woe, and prompt unwilling tears to flow. Can wealth a power like this afford? Can Cromwell's arts, or Marlborough's sword, an equal empire claim? No, Hastings, thou my words wilt own, thy breast the gifts of every muse hath known. Nor shall the giver's love disgrace thy noble name. The muse's awful art, and the blessed function of the poet's tongue, ne'er shalt thou blush to honor, to assert from all that scorned vice or slavish fear hath sung. Nor shall the blandishment of Tuscan strings warbling at will in pleasure's myrtle bower, nor shall the servile notes to Celtic kings by flattering minstrels paid in evil hour, move thee to spurn the heavenly muse's reign. A different strain, and other themes from her prophetic shades and hallowed streams thou well canst witness meet the purged ear, such, as when Greece to her immortal shell rejoicing listened, godlike sounds to hear. To hear the sweet instructress tell, while men and heroes throng the round, how life its noblest use may find, how well for freedom be resigned, and how, by glory, virtue shall be crowned. To such was the Chian father's strain to many a kind domestic train, whose pious hearth and genial bowl had cheered the reverent pilgrim's soul, when, every hospitable rite with equal bounty to requite, he struck his magic strings, and poured spontaneous numbers forth, and seized their ears with tales of ancient worth, and filled their musing hearts with vast heroic things. Now oft, where happy spirits dwell, where yet he tunes his charming shell, oft near him, with applauding hands, the genius of his country stands. To listening gods he makes him known, that man divine, by whom were sown the seeds of Grecian fame, who first the race with freedom furred, from whom Lycurgus Sparta's sons inspired, from whom Peloton palms and Cyprian trophies came. O noblest, happiest age, when Aristides ruled, and Cimon fought, when all the generous fruits of Homer's page exulting Pindar saw to full perfection brought. O Pindar, oft shalt thou be hailed of me, not that Apollo fed thee from his shrine, not that thy lips drank sweetness from the bee, nor yet that, studious of thy notes divine, Pan danked their measure with the sylvan throng, but that thy song was proud to unfold what thy base rulers trembled to behold. Amid corrupted Thebes was proud to tell the deeds of Athens and the Persian shame, hence on thy head their impious vengeance fell. But thou, O faithful to thy fame, the Muse's law didst rightly know, that who would animate his lays, and other minds to virtue raise, must feel his own with all her spirit glow. Three are there, approved of later times, whose verse adorned a tyrant's crimes, who saw majestic Rome betrayed, and lent the imperial ruffian aid? Alas! Not one polluted bard, no, not the strains that Mincius heard, or Tiber's hills replied, dare to the Muse's ear aspire, save that, instructed by the Grecian lyre, with freedom's ancient notes their shameful task they hide. Mark, how the dread Pantheon stands, amid the domes of modern hands, amid the toys of idle state, how simply, how severely great. Then turn, and, while each western clime presents her tuneful sons to time, so mark thou Milton's name. And it thus differs from the throng the spirit which informed thy awful song, which bade thy potent voice protect thy country's fame. Yet hence barbaric zeal his memory with unholy rage pursues, while from these arduous cares of public weal she bids each bard begone, and rest him with his muse. O fool! To think the man, whose ample mind must grasp at all that yonder stars survey, must join the noblest forms of every kind, the world's most perfect image to display, can e'er his country's majesty behold, unmoved or cold? O fool! To deem that he, whose thought must visit every theme, whose heart must every strong emotion know inspired by nature, or by fortune taught, that he, if haply some presumptuous foe, with false ignoble science fraught, shall spurn at freedom's faithful band? That he their dear defense will shun, or hide their glories from the sun, or deal their vengeance with a woman's hand. For I care not that in Arno's plain, or on the sportive banks of Seine, from public themes the muses choir content with polished ease retire. Where priests the studious head command, where tyrants bow the warlike hand to vile ambition's aim, say, what can public themes afford, save venal honors to an hateful lord, reserved for angry heaven and scorned of honest fame? But here, where freedom's equal throne to all her valiant sons is known, where all are conscious of her cares, and each the power, that rules him, shares, here let the bard, whose dastard tongue leaves public arguments unsung, bid public praise farewell, let him to fitter climes remove, far from the heroes in the patriots' love, and lull mysterious monks to slumber in their cell. O Hastings, not to all can ruling heaven the same endowments lend, yet still doth nature to her offspring call, that to one general wheel their different powers they bend, unenvious. Thus alone, those strains divine inform the bosom of the Muses' son. Though with new honors the patrician's line advance from age to age, yet thus alone they win the suffrage of impartial fame. The poet's name he best shall prove, whose lays the soul with noblest passions move. But thee, O progeny of heroes old, thee to severer toils thy fate requires, the fate which formed thee in a chosen mold, the grateful country of thy sires, thee to sublimer paths demand. Sublimer than thy sires could trace, or thy own Edward teach his race, though Gaul's proud genius sank beneath his hand. Thee from rich domains and subject farms, they led the rustic youth to arms, and kings their stern achievements feared, while private strife their banners reared. But loftier scenes to thee are shown, where empire's wide established throne no private master fills, where, long foretold, the people reigns, where each a vassal's humble heart disdains, and judgeth what he sees, and, as he judgeth, wills. Here be it thine to calm and guide the swelling democratic tide, to watch the state's uncertain frame, and baffle faction's partial aim, but chiefly, with determined zeal, to quell that servile band, who kneel to freedom's banished foes. That monster, which is daily found expert and bold thy country's peace to wound, yet dreads to handle arms, none manly counsel knows. 'Tis highest heaven's command, that guilty aims should sordid paths pursue, that what ensnares the heart should maim the hand, and virtue's worthless foes be false to glory too. But look on freedom. See, through every age, what labors, perils, griefs, hath she disdained. What arms, what regal pride, what priestly rage, have her dread offspring conquered or sustained? For Albion well have conquered. Let the strains of happy swains, which now resound where Scarsdale's cliffs the swelling pastures bound, bear witness. There, oft let the farmer hail the sacred orchard which embowers his gate, and shoot to strangers passing down the vale, where Candish, Booth, and Osborne sate, when bursting from their country's chain, even in the midst of deadly harms, of papal snares and lawless arms, they planned for freedom this her noblest reign. 6. This reign, these laws, this public care, which Nassau gave us all to share, had ne'er adorned the English name, could fear have so linked freedom's claim. But fear and vain attempts to bind those lofty efforts of the mind which social good inspires. Where men, for this, assault a throne, each adds the common welfare to his own, and each unconquered heart the strength of all acquires. Say, was it thus, when late we viewed our fields in civil blood imbrued? When fortune crowned the barbarous host, and half the astonished isle was lost? Did one of all that vaunting train, who dare affront a peaceful reign, durst one in arms appear? Durst one in councils pledge his life? Stake his luxurious fortunes in the strife? Or lend his boasted name his vagrant friends to cheer? Yet, Hastings, these are they who challenge to themselves thy country's love. The true, the constant, who alone can weigh what glory should demand, or liberty approve. But let their works declare them. Thy free powers, the generous powers of thy prevailing mind, not for the tasks of their confederate hours, lewd brawls and lurking slander, were designed. Be thou thy own approver. Honest praise oft nobly sways ingenuous youth, but, sought from cowards and the lying mouth, praises reproach. Eternal God alone for mortals fixeth that sublime award. He, from the faithful records of his throne, bids the historian and the bard dispose of honor and of scorn, discern the patriot from the slave, and right the good, the wise, the brave, for lessons to the multitude unborn.